Total War Saga Troy is getting the full mythological treatment with its new Mythos DLC dropping on September 2nd. This will bring the world of the Iliad to life in a way not seen before in a Total War series, with the introduction of Mythological Beasts, a rework of the current truth behind the myth units, and plenty of other enhancements to the game that make it a truly exciting spectacle to behold. It's almost like playing Age of Mythology brought into the modern era. Only thing lacking is the Norse and Egyptian gods, but that's neither here nor there. Now, whether you've been following along with the FAQs and feature releases from Creative Assembly or not, I'm going to be going over 10 of the big Mythos changes coming with this DLC. Keep in mind that alongside this DLC is a major piece of content that will be delivered as a free update, which we will discuss on this list. If you'd like to see any of the items I will be talking about, or would like to just jump to the ones that interest you the most, you can quickly navigate to each one denoted in the chapters within the timeline and description. As always, guys, if you're enjoying this type of content, please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. Each one of these things helps out any content creator you watch immensely, and I cannot thank you enough for supporting the channel. If you'd like to purchase Troy or the Mythos DLC through my Nexus Store, you can find a link in my description and pinned comment. It unfortunately won't be live until later this month, but you'll receive a Steam key directly from the developer, as well as benefit from any Steam discounts that exist. But let's get started on the top 10 Mythos changes in Total War Saga Troy. And the first item I want to talk about is the campaign map. And this really extends to the battle map as well, but the campaign map comes alive with so many mythological elements. You can see these large pieces of armor and weaponry from a former Titanic battle that went on. The skyline is alight with a lot of prominent figures from Greek mythology. Like you've got Prometheus here having his liver being eaten by a hawk. You can see Boreas, the North Wind, some centaurs, Zephyrus, the god of wind of the Greek mythology, plenty of other prominent figures. And all these kind of depend upon the direction in which you're looking. If I look far to the south, where Egypt would lie, I see some Egyptian hieroglyphs, and maybe that's a telltale sign of Egyptian future DLC. But even moving over to this location, the eastern wind of Notus, and we can see here from his hot breath and the spilling of his urn here. So a lot of really cool things kind of come to life. And even when you navigate across the map, you can see where you can recruit some mythological units. Like if I press K, if I hover over this, it'll say this is where the Spartoi are. Or if I go over to this location, far to the east, I can see locations such as like the Minotaur over here, and plenty of other things across the map. So you get a lot of really cool context clues, and each one of the different spawning locations of mythological beasts has this really cool little blurb that you can read here. Right here, the Minotaur looms in bronze. At the heart of the labyrinth, Cyclades, fishermen prowl the twists and turns between the islets, casting now and the then fearful glances at the monument. So the map really comes alive in so many ways, and this even, like I said, extends to the battle map. Another new mechanic is the administration mechanic, and this will be coming alongside the free update that accompanies the Mythos DLC on September 2nd. So if I take a look at this new gauge at the top, I get my administration, and your administration is increased by units that you're recruiting as well as heroes. So you can see my current points are 38, and pretty much I think it's like 40 or so points, you jump up into another administration tier. At the bottom end, minus 20% to administration efficiency for enacting royal decrees. But at the top end, you can see there are a number of penalties and bonuses. So as you get towards the top end of your administration, you get a significant penalty towards stuff like food recruitment costs, gold recruitment costs, upkeep costs for all of your units, as well as bonuses to your influence. So as your empire grows, you also get plenty of bonuses, but you then have to suffer penalties to your upkeep. So let me give you an example here. If I go ahead and recruit a hero, I'll just recruit any old hero. I can see, my administration tier has changed from tier 1 to tier 2. Hovering over this, I now see that I get a 15% food upkeep from all units that occurs as a result at being at tier 2. Even further, if I take a look at this guy, go to local recruitment, I can see that each unit will give me an increase to my administration cost of 3, 1, 1, 1, depending upon the type of unit that you've got. This allows you to either play a smaller, more nimble force with plenty of benefits in and of that, or a larger empire that will have plenty of draws upon your resource, but a lot of benefits to your influence and other such things as you grow across all of Greece. Another big change that's coming is your access to special units. Now, with Total War Troy, you have a plethora of unique units that are bound to your specific faction, and then a lot of mythological creatures across the game. And now with Mythos, we get a whole new roster of units as well, and we'll get into that later. But throughout the many missions that are offered to you throughout your campaign, you will be given a lot of different ways to get access to some of these special units. This then adds to a special recruitment pool. This giving you access to units like this, Ajax's Companions, which are unique to your faction, or the Lesser Griffon, which is unique to the Griffon expeditions, or even the Giant Bowmen here, which are, again, unique, special mythological creatures that you can get from just simply inhabiting certain portions of the map. This huge increase to special unit recruitment and access allows you to play the game and get access to these fun, flavorful units without having to push to certain regions and conquering certain locations. It just makes it so you get a lot more diverse unit selection from a lot of the really cool special units in Troy at a way more accessible rate. Next up are the new divine abilities. Now, as you gain favor with each one of the Greek mythological gods, you gain the ability to use their powers in battle. After you select one, you do a prayer to one. The next turn, you then get access to a special ability as long as you have a certain level. So if you are at respected or higher, you can see right there we're at celebrated. It says you can now use the Aegis Palace divine ability with 3 charges. And you can have multiple ones of these activated. So for example, once you get that ability, which we already have with Athena, I can jump into a battle and I can see it's right there. These deities grant you these blessings in battle, and you can have up to 4 abilities. I can see the abilities benefits as well as what that ability is and overall how many charges I've got. And there are plenty of abilities. This is just a real quick way to show you all of them that you can use with each and every god as long as you get their respective favor up to the right levels. And these then play out as abilities, of course, on the battlefield. So for example, some of them are more defensive, like Athena's or Armor of the Gods, but you can use Wrath of the Goddess, which is an offensive capability, or these latter two like Tidal Wave, which will actually have a tidal wave sweep across the battle map, or even Zeus's Thunderbolt, which will quickly send a thunderbolt crashing down into your enemy. These are an amazing way to add a lot of flavor and really increase the value of using the Divine Will menu in the campaign, getting as many benefits from it as well as these new army abilities. And of course, with the Mythos DLC, we will be getting a revamp to the mythological roster from the Truth Behind the Myth standard mode. So Mythos will completely change all those and give us that true mythological representation of them. So taking a look over here, and this is just a couple of them, you can see these Centaur Lancers, which look just real awesome. They're actual centaurs. Even further across here, when we look at the Corybantis, which look just gnarly, and they've got glowing eyes and they're slavering. Behind them, you've got a Cyclops, you've got the Minotaur over here, far over there, you've got more giants, and giants have a ton of variations as well. You know, let me get closer. You can actually see how giant the giants are. From that angle, they don't really look that giant. You also have the Spartoi down here, very ineffectual and efficient. Then above us, we can see both the Harpies and the Sirens. Not to be confused with the Sirens of maritime lore, but these are the Sirens of Greek mythological lore on the left here, with the Harpies over here on the right. So this nice revamp to the existing mythological characters. But there's also some epic heroes to talk about. And just like the mythical roster, the epic heroes, or epic agents, have also been brought to life in the Mythos DLC across the Terrifying Gorgon, the Satyr, and the Seer. But also we have the inclusion of 2 new agents from the previous free content of Artemis and Hephaestus across Orion, as well as the Divine Craftsman. And each one of these in the Mythos DLC has different abilities, like this one which will reduce movement range, this one damaging the garrison, and then also this one that will reduce morale, battle speed, and campaign map movement for a targeted army. And in addition to all of this, they look different on the campaign map. So as we can see here, here is the Medusa in all of its terrifying glory. It looks absolutely horrifying. I can't really get a really good up close and personal look on this guy aside from, well, this girl, aside from this over in the corner. You can see how horrifying her visage is, these wings, the snakes in her hair, the eyes, everything. So way more of a classical interpretation of a lot of these mythological creatures, which we'll be seeing especially when we look at stuff like the Cerberus and other units across the rest of the Mythos DLC. Having now discussed a lot of the reworked mechanics, it's worth going into one of the newest and most exciting ones, the Expedition. And this is your chance to essentially forge an odyssey for your campaign. You'll embark upon one of 3 expeditions for one of the monsters that make up the centerpiece of this DLC. Around turn 15, you'll be prompted with a choice: the Griffon Patriarch, the Cerberus, or the Hydra. And each one of these has their own their own units, their own buildings, their own abilities that will accompany your campaign. And the nice thing here is that you can actually see what's going on before you jump into your selection here. Going through each one, you can see the buildings, the stats of the units, the individual campaign abilities that you'll get, all sorts of goodies. So this is a great way to really get an idea for what you'll be jumping into when you jump into the Mythos DLC, as you choose which one of the 3 major beasts will become I guess you could say companion throughout the rest of your campaign, because as you finish the 4 or 5 part quest of your expedition, you will then lock in that monster, and your nemesis on the map will have an adjoining monster to choose from, which will be one of the 2 you did not select, to kind of duke it out in a final battle to see who wins the campaign. Now that we've actually taken a look at the expedition, it's time to see these monsters in battle. And the first unit I want to talk about is the new Griffon. Look at this bad boy using his new ability that sends a huge gust of wind down upon things. Now the Griffon's awesome because it also has an ability to land, something that is unique to Total War Troy and something that we hope to see in Total War Warhammer 2 and 3. The Griffon itself, though, is a flying powerhouse with a large amount of speed, of course, at 110, even while on foot, with 67 melee attack, a nice juicy 1850 in its weapon strength, and the ability here to Rallying Screech, increasing morale, stamina, as well as buffing all of the units around him in a 60-meter radius. You can see this guy just going to town on things right here. Next up is the Cerberus. Now, this big beast has got a lot of awesome things going for it, but you can see the really cool snakes in the hair, the snake for a tail. Remember, the Hydra and the Cerberus are related to each other, brother and sister. Let's take a look at these nasty abilities. So, just like the Griffon has a rallying cry, Cerberus has Howl of the Underworld. This ability is, of course, going to reduce the morale of anything in the radius around him. Look at that thing catching off right there. In addition to, get Fires of Legathon, which is going to do some AoE damage. Of course, it's going to be exactly what you think it is, fires. But in addition to that too, he gets this Revel in Death ability, which we're going to go into when we take a look at the unit roster for Cerberus. But lastly, he gets a nice juicy ability in Summon Shades, which is going to bring some shades to the battlefield to help him out if he's surrounded, or of course, if he just needs to help out with some flanking units. But as you can see, Cerberus is quite the melee combatant with the Vanguard capability and a very nice speed of still 90. He is quite good at flanking around an attacker because he gets flanking defense improved, as well as unbreakable and being able to cause terror. So he is a literal terror on the battlefield. And the last monster to talk about is the dreaded Hydra. Now, compared to the other 2, this is actually a range combatant. While he still can compete in melee, he has a decimating ability to shoot poison at range. He has this poison bomb ability as well, in which case he will launch a large poison bomb across the battlefield. In addition to that, you can see that thing just going off over there. He can also use a poison breath attack, which will enable him to, just as you would have suspected, launch a conical poison breath attack. And even if he gets locked into melee combat, he has this, Virulent Blood, which will shoot a poisonous explosion around him, allowing him to poison everyone and keep him in good sorts. And we'll use this Poison Breath attack over here on the Sword Masters. But really you can see that the Hydra, while lowest of armor of all of the three, and definitely not the tankiest, he is still dreaded to behold in combat, as he has plenty of poison capabilities and range capabilities to keep him destructive on the battlefield, whether locked in combat or at ranged. Now with the mythical beasts come their mythical units, and each one gets 4 or 5 units that they get to choose from. Taking a look at the first ones here, we can see the ones for Cerberus. Each one of them is a shade of some different way, shape, or form, with the Wretched Shades acting as a light armor, spear and shield infantry, with the Marksman of Elysium acting as an archer unit for Cerberus, in addition to the Spearmasters of Elysium. And each one of these units has something like this, Revel in Death. As soon as the total battle deaths reached is 1800, they all get bonuses. This one gives us weapon damage, armor piercing damage, and melee attack. And it's really cool to kind of see how these all come to life. Unbreakable, flanking defense improved. These ones also get Pact of Punishment, and this will allow the unit to be sent back to the underworld, but will give it a bonus of weapon damage, melee attack, and armor piercing, as well as speed for 100 seconds. And then the pinnacle unit for Cerberus are the Giant Shades, and every single unit gets one very, I guess you could say, top-end unit that has a lot of abilities. Now for the Hydra, you get a different set of units, but some that still will follow a similar kind of underlying thread. The Hydra Defenders and the Drinkers of Venom both will have poison attacks and regeneration. Of course, the Hydra Defenders are a heavy armor, spear and shield infantry unit, with the Hydra Archers again bringing that regeneration and poison to the table. And then lastly, the Hydra Priest having a regenerative mixture, which gives a huge boost to both stamina as well as health. And then lastly, they have a poison ritual, which will do damage to things, of course, poisoning them and doing damage over time. Lastly, for the Griffon, we have the Cyclopean Aramospoi, and these ones are pretty exciting. We get the Hunters here, which have stock, have natural advantage, which all the units have, allowing them to have movement, bonus speed, and melee attack bonuses while on rough terrain. Get this cool snare trap ability, as well as being able to fire while moving, and again, having stock. With the Spearmen, they get that same natural advantage, also getting Vanguard deployment and flanking attack improvement with some nice anti-large. Now in the back, we get the Skirmishers, which are again going to be a javelin style unit, throwing them from horseback this time with a 360-degree arc to shooting, as well as being able to fire whilst moving. And the pinnacle unit is a lesser Griffon for the Griffon, so the little guy of the big daddy. And again, you get the Bronze Feathers here, which is going to give missile resistance and armor, as well as, of course, causing fear, a siege attacker, and being able to do plenty of armor piercing damage. Now the last and probably one of the most exciting things, number 1 on this list, is the new historical mode. Now I unfortunately cannot show off any historical mode just yet. We have to wait till our next marketing embargo to do so. But essentially what this does is, and this is a free content upgrade regardless of whether or not you get Mythos DLC, is it strips away all the mythological elements of Total War Saga Troy and makes it more grounded in reality and history. Heroes charge into battle accompanied by a unit of capable bodyguards, so very similar to the way we've had with previous Total Wars. Praying to the gods of Olympus results in passive effects tailored to historical reality. And also all units are grounded in reality. So what that means is no longer will you see single entity Minotaur units or Cyclopean warriors, anything of the sort. It's all going to be very historical based in that late Bronze Age Greek and Anatolia history. So a very, very exciting development here outside of the standard Truth Behind the Myth that we can play, or the brand new mythological mode that allows you to play the campaign in the new Mythos DLC. And with that, it brings our list here to an end. So if you guys are excited about Total War Saga Troy, if there's some certain elements that I maybe didn't cover that you wanted to hear about, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I will answer anything I can to the best of my ability or to the best of my NDA. Unfortunately, I cannot cover anything historical related until the later marketing embargo, but rest assured that I will go into detail about all the great things coming with the new historical campaign mode. Also, Very excited to be jumping into this. You'll be able to see it on stream tomorrow, in which case we'll be showing off the Griffon and the expeditions attached to it. So tune into that at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to see a little fun stream of Total War Saga Troy. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below, or just let me know what you're excited about with Troy. I'm super stoked on it. This Mythos DLC has me just rigid. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.